last thing, which is going to be the student classes table. Okay, so remember we have departments, we have classes, we already have students from before. We just need to create the junction table between the two. Okay, and we also have a script for this. And if you look at our tables, let me go ahead and minimize this. Right now we do not have a table between student and classes. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure of that. And let me pull up this last script, which is going to be this one, students underscore classes. Okay, now this one I actually have the SQL script in front of me, but I am going to show you how to do this using SSMS. This way you will have some experience on how to do this without T-SQL. What if you wanted to just start creating one on the fly? So let me go ahead and I'm just going to select this. Select Object Explorer, right click on Tables, New Table. Okay, and I will start plugging away. The name of our first column is ID, is going to be an integer. Okay, the next one is going to be class ID. Okay, and I believe the class ID is a varchar 10, and I'll verify this. Okay, and then the last one is going to be students ID, and that is going to be an integer. Okay, just let's verify this. It's actually student ID, and that's an integer. So let me go ahead and change that. Now, one thing I will mention in here, all of these fields they need to be not null, because this is going to be a relationship between these two tables. So we need to do that first. And then another thing is our ID field, which is going to be primary key in here. It needs to be an auto increment key. So the way you do that is you come down here under column properties, you expand identities specification, and then here you will select yes, and then this is the identity increment, identity seed. We'll just leave that as is, and I believe, well, last thing I need to do is set this as a primary key, and then I believe that should be well, wait a second, I don't need to do the primary key here. Let's just go ahead and save this table. Okay, and we are going to call this students classes table. Okay, and let's go ahead and close this. Let me do a select star from. There should obviously be nothing in there. Okay, so so far so good. We just basically created a table, but this time we used the Management Studio. Now I do have the SQL code on how to add primary key. Basically, there are a couple of ways of doing this. You can do you have to use the alter table command, which is obviously used when you are trying to modify a table as opposed to creating a table. So one way to do this is to do alter table, name of the table, and then go add primary key and then the actual field. Okay, and another way to do this is to go alter table students classes, which is obviously the table, and then instead of doing add primary key, you do add constraint, name of the constraint, again primary key, and then the field. Okay, I actually prefer doing it this way. They both will work. So let me go ahead and select that, execute that. Okay, now if I go back and right click on my tables, you can obviously see the table. You can select design, and let me just refresh this one more time. I think I did let me just make sure I did run this. Okay, so this is already there. I just had to refresh it, I think. Let me refresh this also, and then do design. Okay, so somehow it's not it's not showing up as far as it is right there. So it did implement, but somehow when you do the design, it's not showing. No worries, it's already there, as we checked it. But that's how you do that. Now, as far as foreign keys, basically the way you do that in T-SQL is, again, you have to use alter table command. It's slightly slightly complex basically, but let's just walk you through that. The beginning line is the same, alter table student classes. You'd go add constraint. This time you're going to go FK student classes, which is the name of our table, okay, and you are joining to the classes. So what I usually do is I go the main table, second table, and then obviously the term foreign key, okay, and we are going to be using class ID from our main table, and then you use the term references, which means you are going to join to the second table, which is going to be classes, okay, and class ID. If I go back to my PowerPoints and go back, let's say, to the slide, what we're saying is that from this table, okay, which is going to be our main table, I'm going to go basically, you know, from here, I think one to many here, okay. So let's see, so that is right. We are going to reference essentially the class ID here to the class ID here, okay. And so I will select this, okay, and I will highlight it and execute this one. Similarly, we are going to create a relationship between the student and the student classes. So primary key here, foreign key here. This is the main table, students is the main table, and student classes is the child table, okay. You have to have a student first. So again, we will highlight this and execute this, okay, and at this point we are done. It says insert data manually using SSMS. So let me go ahead and I can actually leave this open, but let me refresh this again, okay. And now you'll notice that not only do I have a primary key, I also have foreign keys in here, okay. So I think we're kind of wrapping things up now. We are down to the wire. This is where we need to enter information into the student classes, okay. And the way you do that is you select the table and select edit top 200 rows, okay. And I'm going to minimize Object Explorer. In here I'm going to pull up some students. So let me do this, select star from students. Then I will also do select star from classes, because we need information from both places. And I highlighted, hit F5. Let me just, all I really need is the first column, but let me just copy this, okay. So these are our students, and here are our classes, okay. And again, I really need my first column, but let me just copy these two, okay. And here are the classes. So now let's decide this. We will say our first student, which is Bailey, long last name, Sheraton something. She is student ID 1, and she will be taking English 101, okay. And this is the ID for that. And then she will also take, let's say, SQL 101. So what I'm trying to do basically is build values in here, and I will be using this in doing this using an SSMS. So then we have Sadia Mughal, that actually happens to be my sister. She is taking Math 101 because she is weak in math. Actually, she's not bad, but she's taking one class, and then maybe this last student, Jeff Smith, okay, we'll just give him one class. So let's do this. We will give him, we shall also put him in English 101, okay. So these are the classes that we need to build. Okay, and what we need to do is basically, I'm actually copying this one because the first one is 1. If I go to my first this table here, actually let me close this one. I thought I had the other table. Basically I have too many things open. Okay, no worries, I can open it again. I can go edit 200 rows. Okay, so remember the class ID is going to be this one, and student was 1, okay, which was Bailey. Right, then we had also student 1 taking SQL 101, right. I just changed the order, but you kind of get the idea. Okay, and then we have my sister taking Math 01. Okay, so we put the class ID here, and then her ID is 2. And then finally, I believe we have Jeff Smith, who happens to be the student ID 8, taking English 101. Okay. And I don't know if you noticed this, but remember when the first field is the auto increment field. So as I was entering information, it was assigning 1, 2, and 3. So now we are good to go. One thing I do want to mention here is you notice that we do not have a English 301 in here. Okay, we just are offering these 5 classes. So let's do this. But we do have a student ID 6. So what I'm going to do is, in fact, I'm going to put English 301 just to show you a point on this, and then going to use student ID 6. So we know student ID is fine, but we know that this class ID is invalid. This should technically give us an error. So let me see if I go to the next one and notice that it says data in row 5 was not committed. Insert command conflicted with the foreign key constraint FK student classes. This occurred in the column blah blah blah. This is very good. So what SQL is doing is, and it's enforcing the database relationship between the 2 tables. So now I can go ahead and close it. In fact, what I can do is I can just delete this one, and then it's not going to let me out of this. Alright, what we'll do is we'll go we'll make it English 101. So we'll put another student in there, and then I think this can leave us alone. Okay, so now if I do a select star from students classes, we should have all these records that we entered manually. And remember, all they're doing is they are joining, this table is joining data from the classes table, and it also joining from students table. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Referential integrity, we will come back to it another time, as we went a little bit over time. So thank you for watching the video.